We talked about it yesterday. I really enjoyed the new film Baltimorons, which is in theaters right now. And the story of its star and the man behind the film is probably as compelling, if not more, than the film itself. He is very much one of us, despite moving out to California a few years back. And he was actually a two-sport athlete at Blakefield some years ago. He is Michael Strassner, and he's with us this morning here on GCR. Michael, it's Glenn. It's so great to meet you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Um,
Um, it's funny you said two sport. I played club lacrosse, so I can't give
okay.
myself much. And I played a little bit of the freshman football.
Wait, so you didn't get
But
your varsity letters, is what you're
no,
saying?
I did not. I mean, I was the theater kid as well. That was like also the president of the school. So that was my
So,
yes.
when did you realize that it was going to be more theater kid and less football and lacrosse for you? Was there like an on-field moment that made you say, "No, maybe I should go, figure out if I can get into the musical this semester"?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. My uncle was at the premiere of Baltimorons, and he was like, "Man, if I would have known you were this good, I would have not kept on trying to force lacrosse down your throat." Um, because he was like, "I wasted a lot of Saturdays throwing the ball with you." Um, but I always loved. I mean, I still to this day, I'm a huge Ravens fan. I love Maryland lacrosse and I love the
It's
Orioles.
cool.
Those are my teams, and I the when I played club, I played up until senior year, and it was kind of like it was the most fun because it was all my buddies because we just were not the best lacrosse players, but we were like because Loyola, MIA,
Oh,
and
absolutely. Right.
also
Yeah.
yeah, and we also won my senior year, the championship.
That's cool.
So the team was really stacked. We had Jared Gangler who went on to play at Maryland and Emmett Keller and just some really good guys that played college ball in D1. But, I just kind of knew I was like, I'm the comedy guy. Like, I'll be on the team and I won't get in all year. I'll just be making jokes the whole time. Um, although in my senior club lacrosse year, uh, we took money on who would get the first goal, and mine was like 200 to 1 or 500 to 1, something really out there. And my buddy Jesse D'Arcangelo bet me, and who's also in the movie. He plays. All my buddies are in the movie.
I've been getting the sense of that, by the way, which is
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah. But he bet like there's no way Strassner is going to be the one that gets the first goal of the season. And sure enough, I just came down like a train driving to the goal, and Jesse's like right here at the crease. He's like, "Pass me, pass me, pass me,"
You're
and
like,
I'm
no.
like, "I'm just going for it," and I just took a shot and got it in, and I celebrated. And my dad afterward was like, "Act like you've been there before, son." And I was like, I never have. I truly have never
Right.
been there
Right.
before.
Just
So
scored a goal. First of all, there's a
yeah,
couple things in there that I have to respond to. One being the like it's the inherent nature of you playing lacrosse and like your uncle spending that time. My wife was a private school. I went to Perry Hall. I was
oh
trash.
yeah,
My wife was NDP, and like to her, like there are no gym shorts. It's just lacrosse shorts. Like that's the way that it
yes,
works.
a hundred
Like
percent.
with our
What year was your wife at Notre Dame?
she would have oh 01. She would have
Oh
graduated oh
what?
01. Yeah.
Okay,
So
she's my sister. She's kind of my sister's year.
okay, so there you go. But
Yeah,
she like when our kids were born, she was like they're playing lacrosse. It's just the way that it works. And like I dabbled a bit. I was a fat goalie for a minute. Like I tried that. It wasn't for me.
I
Um
tried goalie too, and I didn't wear a cup one day, and I found out the hard way.
oh
And then
god.
that was my last time playing goalie.
God, that is that
Yeah,
is a good way to get out of
yeah,
it. But like it's just inherent. Like my boys, she was gonna have them play lacrosse. That was the way that it was going to work because there's just something about like the Baltimore private school community that's just what you do. You play lacrosse because they
yeah.
say so. The other thing about that is I love the fact you mentioned obviously what a Ravens fan you are, what an Orioles fan you are. It was very clear how much of that came across in the film, other than I've never heard anyone use the phrase bird ball before. That was the first time I had ever heard that. But the authenticity of it, and I know everybody, you've talked a lot about how this movie is so much a love letter to Baltimore, but the importance of like the purple camo pants, the importance of all of the very uniquely Baltimore stuff that you wanted to make sure you got right in the film really stood out.
Yeah, and I have to give it up to Baltimore. We've been tracking our box office, and Baltimore has been truly like showing like to the point where people are like, I've never seen this before in a city where so many people are showing up and seeing this movie in one, central location. And it has been such a like amazing thing to see, because this is a small little independent movie. And you know, the Charles, I was checking on Saturday and Friday, like they're still having sold out shows, and we've been in the theater now for a couple weeks. And it's really, really cool. As a Baltimore native and somebody who cared so much about their city and who loves their city so much, to see it show up again and again these last couple weeks and just go and support this little movie has been like next level, the coolest
It's
thing of my
awesome.
career ever.
It's awesome,
Um,
man.
and yeah, like we definitely tried to paint it. We definitely just tried to. I mean, like the the camo pants, you wouldn't know he was wearing those unless we got that last wide shot in.
Yep.
When he's going up the steps, because I was like, and give it and our editor every time he's like, that just makes me laugh so hard
Well, and
that
it's
there's
perfect for his character, right? Like you know
100%.
exactly who that person is.
Yes, 100%, and that's the thing is like we really tried to make it as authentic as possible to the city and the people that are in there, you know, um, good, bad, and otherwise. And we just really wanted to show it in the most positive light as we possibly could, and I'm so proud of what we did. And that there's this little Christmas movie that
So
like,
cool.
people are saying it's like it's like what Silver Linings Playbook did for Philly. It's what this is doing for Baltimore.
It's
So
wonderful, man. It's wonderful. Michael Strassner with us, Baltimorons, that is showing right now. Michael, I say this like because I love it, you love it. Did you have any worries at all in making the film? Like, is this too meta? Is this too like are does nobody's gonna catch the Rofo reference that isn't part of my family? Like, did you have any of those concerns? Or in making a film, is it imperative that you go that centric, that local, that meta?
I think it we always could have like we I feel like we always can find a way to pull it back in the edit if it's too much. You know, there's ways to fix those things, but I just felt like, and Jay, of course, was like, he was just such a like, what is most authentic to the city?
Right.
Like he really was like, do you guys get Rofa? And I was like,
It's where people get the chicken in town.
yeah,
It's a
it's
fact.
where we get
It's
our chicken and
correct.
Western fries.
Yep.
Like in I don't know. I'm sure there's some people in Baltimore that have it for Christmas. Um, but it was it's just like, again, it's like I think he just wanted to be like, what sounds like, what would Cliff Cashin throw here? And Cliff Cashin again is my buddy Brady Cashin. That's why he's named that.
I didn't know
Uh,
that.
Yep, and Dee Dee Dahl is my other best friend, Spence Dahl, who went to Loyola with me. So Dr. Dahl,
Wow.
Cashin, and then my mom's name is McIntyre. Or then my other buddy, Hunter McIntyre. That's why her name is Miss McIntyre. We, I literally am just throwing in little references
So
everywhere.
cool.
Also, just helps me to remember people's names. Um, so it's kind of a cheat.
It's funny you say that. There was a time in my life where I was doing radio in Baltimore, and I was told I wasn't allowed to do radio in DC, but I had the chance to do like a weekend shift on DC 101 or something like that. And so I did. That's what I did. Is I used my best friend's name as my DJ name because I knew I would remember it, but I didn't want to give away. So I was John Chambers on the radio for the shifts that I was doing on the weekend. So it makes all the sense in the world. I actually had a theory that it was Dr. Daw because it sounds like Dr. Dahl. And I wondered if there was anything to that, but maybe you're quickly shutting that down.
No, truly, it was just because one, we were staying at Spence's house in pre-production. And I actually stayed at Spence's house throughout the whole shoot. He had me in his basement, him and his wife Julie, um, in Federal Hill. They were like, "Yeah, you can just stay here." And I was like, again, it was everyone was just opening their arms to this little movie. And so I was like, well, I will definitely. And Spence actually is the drunk improv fan in the movie, where he yells,
That's
"Do
awesome.
Baltimoreons!" You know, that's him.
That's
So
awesome. That is
we
awesome.
really, yeah, we really. It's just such. And to answer your question, there was definitely a fear of like, is this too inside baseball? Like, are
Yeah.
they gonna like, you know? But then at the same time, it's like, well, this city is the one that's showing up and going to the movies, and a lot of others are too. But like, Baltimore's showing up and they're having a great time in it. So it all worked out perfectly.
Michael, the feedback is so wonderfully positive. People are resonating with this film. You could have made a movie that just existed and it would always mean something, but this is your life, and we can talk a little bit. I know you've talked a lot about how obviously the opening scene is very direct to your life, but this is you. You're from here. You've now made this piece of art that is resonating with people. You've got to live it in this city, the premiere, the Orioles game, all of it. What has all of this meant to you? How do you describe that you have created this piece of art that probably will have legs for a very long time?
I mean, Glenn, I really can't put into words how special this whole experience has become, and like, all I can say is that I have just truly tried my best throughout this whole entire process to live in the present moment and just to enjoy every single day that has happened with this movie. You know, September 10th was our Baltimore day, and I don't think I've ever had a better day in Baltimore in my life. Um, Getting a chance to, do an interview with WJZ, which I watched as a kid, then go to Camden Yards, throw out the first pitch, um, you know, get to meet some players as I change and, go down in the, and as we're walking out, Cal Ripken comes in. I get a picture with him, which is like, what is this day? You know, then I go to the premiere and at the Senator, which is where I used to love watching movies with my mom all the time, and to see Baltimoreans on the marquee and walk in and see 700 people so excited to see this movie. Like they gave us like people were standing clapping before. I was like, you guys haven't even seen it yet. You don't even know what's happening. Like, wait till the end and see if you like it. Um, and then just to like be there and watch it with the Baltimore audience for the first time, it truly was like the best homecoming I could have ever imagined. And I don't think I'm ever going to have another thing in this career that tops that
Yeah.
because it really has been. And I hope this movie stays with people and they watch it every year around Christmas time. And it just really it's just been such a the whole process was a labor of love, and the whole crew that's from Baltimore, and just getting to make this and getting to show it to people and having the response be so positive. It's like this stuff doesn't really happen. So like I don't take it for granted and how much this moment has meant to me. It'll never, like, I can never repay Baltimore for how much they've done for me.
That's so cool,
So
man. That's so cool. And by the way, for those that don't know, he literally got to play Ron Swanson's brother once upon a time. And this even beats that, which is saying something because, dude, I might have retired in that moment. Like, I might have just said, it will never be better than being Vaughn Swanson. And yet, here you've managed to one up that. So,
yeah,
God bless you, brother.
thank you very much.
Michael, a couple things I have to selfishly bring up. My friend, Silent Rob Phoenix, and for
Is that
people
his nickname, Silent Rob
you don't
Phoenix?
understand. Like Silent Rob was what. So this is the bit. For those that don't know, Marvin in Baltimorons is played by our friend Rob Phoenix, and I was just over doing the big time show at the improv group a couple weeks ago with Rob. Rob is one of the best people I've ever known, but he has produced on radio for years and never wants to come on the air. Never ever wants to say a word. Like he just wants to exist in the background and answer phones and press buttons, and he's the greatest human being I've ever known. So when I found out he had a role in the movie, I was like, oh, he must just be like a background, have a cameo. Like that's Silent Rob. And then I find out what he's doing, and I'm like, dude, what the hell? Where has this been? How did this happen the legend Silent Rob became one of the stars of Baltimoreans.
He did such an amazing job. Truly, like he was there. He like our first day shooting was the tow lot, and he came in and he was so again like kind of like how you described him. He's the nicest, kindest human being. He was so ready for anything, just so excited to be there, and he just did a phenomenal job. And like he's a great actor. He sells that scene, and he sells the one at the improv show, uh and kicks it off so well. Came back for reshoots, and he was perfect in that. It just we really got super lucky with Rob, and a lot of the big people came out and helped support. I mean, we were going to use the space for the opening of the movie. It was going to be a different opening, and we kind of just scrapped it day before because Jay just kind of didn't feel like it just didn't make sense. We
Hmm.
could have see this all later. And so we scrapped it, and they were so like the whole big organization is was so great and so kind with helping us make this movie, and they came out and were extras and did such a great job too. And like Rob, we just kind of saw I saw Rob at a big show, and I suggested it to our casting director. I was like, can we have Rob um kind of audition for this? And he just did such a great job that it was like that's the guy.
Man, he killed. I'm so happy for him, and I'm so glad that he has this because it's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's such a good guy.
So this is really funny because I know the story. My producer Griffin wants me to ask you about how you got hooked up with Jay Duplass, but I've watched literally like every interview that you've done to this point, and I know the DM story. But I
Yeah.
kind of love it and want to talk about it. And it's kind of interesting that Griffin's the one that brings it up because Griffin started producing radio for me, and I would give him outlandish people to reach out to and say, hey, go find out if we can get, actually Cal Ripken's a regular with us, but like I would give him Joe Flacco's number. I'd say, hey, text Joe. See, and he'd be like, what? Like, and I'd be like, Griffin, the worst thing that can happen is he says no. Like
Or he
that's
doesn't
the
respond. That's it.
right.
You know, that that's it.
And so the Jay Duplass story to me, it makes me so happy of like there's no loss here. You reach out to somebody, maybe they don't respond, or maybe 6 months later they respond and you make a magical movie together.
I mean, that's the honest truth. Is um, I noticed that he followed me on Instagram because I was putting up dumb comedy videos, and that's his whole feed is comedy. Like he loves comedy so much, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna send a DM and see what happens. And I've learned from the DM kind of how to also live my whole life, and also by producing this movie. Uh, is the worst thing anyone's going to say to you is no. They might say no in a different way that's not super kind, but it'll just be no,
That's it.
or they won't
You're
say,
not going to jail. You're not
yeah,
going like
and that's what we kind of like. So when he responded back and we became friends, he was like, come over to my house. Like, yeah, I love this idea for a short. He helped me with it. Took time out of his day, which is like unheard of in this industry. Someone of his caliber taking time out for a stranger is just really sweet and kind. And then we became friends. I told him kind of my how I got sober, and that's that opening scene that
yeah.
we kind of discussed. And the same way that I told him is in the movie. I said, the only reason why I'm still here is because the belt broke and I was home with a holiday weight. And he laughed a little, and I was like, you can laugh. It's okay. Like I'm okay. I'm here. And he was kind of plotting this movie, um and then 6 months later he called me and he said, I want to back in someone's life into a movie. You're the first person that came to mind. You want to do it? And I'm like, yes, this sounds incredible. Dave Bonnet, who's another, he's a Coward Hall guy, so he's a little bit of a rival
Hmm.
with me, but he's
Hmm.
been a best buddy of mine for years. He's also a producer on this. Him and I made a list of all the locations that we had in Baltimore that we could probably, you know, get or also like ask favors from. And some that were not on there. We didn't have a crab boat, but sure enough, ask somebody else in Baltimore how you can get a crab boat.
You got one.
We end up with this guy Kelly who did a phenomenal job, and he's like, "Yeah, please come over." And that's what the whole that's what I can't reiterate more about Baltimore is literally it was how can I help? There was never a no. There was literally, what can I do to help? And that's the spirit of Baltimore, and that's what I love about Baltimore. And like another location was our dental office. I called up Tom Melanson, who was my old biology teacher. He was sick and tired of teaching kids like me, and he became a dentist. And I was like, "Hey, is there any way we could use your dental office for free?" And he was like, "I've always wanted to make a movie. Yes, that sounds incredible." You know, and that's how we made this movie, by literally, making something that Jay likes to call unstoppable, and by just using locations that we had to back in a movie, you know.
It's perfect, man. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful testament. You referenced there, and you've talked openly about that opening scene. Showing vulnerability is something that we as men struggle with a lot. Did you struggle with the idea that like now everyone's going to know this story, and they're going to know this about you, and it's going to be part of it, or is that maybe part of like your sober journey, that it's better for you in a way that people know this story and know where you've come from to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I really have never had, I mean, since I have talked openly about it, the best thing that's happened for me is the amount of people that have reached out to me, um, saying that they've been there too. And, like, that is something that is, again, like, better than anything I could have imagined with this. Like, just being able to share my story and help somebody else. That's what this is all about. That's what this whole life is about, is helping others. And, you know, that people know about my past, and that is something that I like to say that I got to go through, you
Mm.
know, um, because now I I truly do not, you know, to make the darkest moment of my life into something so beautiful as this, and that it can actually help people, is, you know, it's the coolest thing in the world to me,
Bless you, brother.
and I think it's important, like, I mean, I think back in the day, probably growing up in the 90s and 2000s, mental health was not really that much. Kind of, figure it out and get your stuff together, And now I think people talking more openly about their struggles, I think it doesn't make it, one, so scary anymore. Two, that you're not the only person that's going through this, and that you can actually get out of your own self by helping somebody else, you know.
Ble-
And that's what I'm really proud this movie has done as well. And and again, like, since we're ending the September month, and it's, suicide prevention, like, I also love to just tell people, like, I almost missed all of this.
hmm.
I almost missed that great day in Baltimore. I almost missed seeing my whole family there, you know, and supporting, this little movie. And you don't know what's on the other side. And I know right now it might seem really, really hard, and it feels like you can't get out of this hole, but there's a lot of light on the other side. So,
Truly bless you, Michael, for that. Truly. And we should tell everybody that the National Suicide Prevention Helpline is 988. You can call or text at any moment. And here in Baltimore, if you're struggling with addiction, I couldn't encourage you more to find out about our friends at the Helping Up mission by going to helpingup.org, because they do miraculous work there. Let me end on an uptick, Mike. What could possibly be on the bucket list now? Like you made this piece of art for our city. What could possibly now be? And I'm sure, like, winning an Academy Award would be cool. Like, I'm sure all that stuff, having a $200 million film. But, like, what, as far as art that you would like to make, what could possibly be, like, the bucket list thing now that you've done this?
well, I'll give you an art one next, but the other bucket list is, I am dying to get on the field for a Ravens game.
Oh, I think they'll make that happen. I think
So that is one,
we'll put in
I
a
think
word.
I'm putting in the air now. I'm going to be home I'll be in Virginia on the 25th. There's a home Bears game on the 26th. I'd love to be on the sideline there. So I'm putting that out there for sure. And number two is, I just want to keep making movies um, in Baltimore and keep, showing Maryland as a whole in movies. And, you know, I got a lot more stories to tell. I want to work with Jay for the rest of my life. That's, I mean, yeah, to win an Oscar would be super cool, but also just to keep making movies and throwing my friends and family in it and just doing stuff that I love. I mean, I'm already kind of living my dream and I just want to keep this thing going. So, um, I think, yeah, I think that's probably, because to be honest with you, to sell out the Senator was definitely
I
up
mean,
there as something that's already had. So it's like I'm trying to even think, like I guess like maybe the Hippodrome next.
and
You know,
maybe the one becomes so big that they got to put it at the arena or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Maybe like next time Bruce Springsteen's at Camden Yards, I can go on stage with him. Like that's something that I'll.
Oh, oh man, Michael Strassner again. It's showing everywhere: the Rotunda, the Cinemark in Towson, the Charles. Baltimorons is a wonderful film. It's truly a delightful, charming, pleasant film that starts from a dark place and is about some weird subjects, but it's just beautiful. Michael Strassner, I'm so insanely happy for you, man, and
Thank you
for
so much
for
for
the
having me, Glenn. It was such a pleasure. I appreciate it.